Oh yeah, Paul the Pipe Guy here. It's Friday, the 2nd of February. 6 o'clock, right on the money. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I don't know. Just came home and yeah, I don't know. Just was thinking and sometimes I take days, certain days, it just comes on where I think about a lot of the people that I've lost recently. And I sit and I smoke my pipe, and sometimes a bunch of tears comes down, sometimes not. Yeah, so we've got this beautiful poker pipe here. Yeah, isn't that gorgeous? And that's strictly dedicated to Bengal slices, single barrel, which you can't get anywhere at all now. I've got about a half a tin and 4 tins up in my cellar in my Lane cedar chest, and they're all from May of 2021. Yeah, so I rubbed it out and kept rubbing it out, and I was thinking about some of these people that I love that aren't here anymore, and I just kept rubbing it out and kind of just doing that on my cutting board, and I'm not depressed. Just reflecting, and a few tears have already been shed. I don't want to talk about those people, but let's start something on fire. I've got that in there, I'll let it dry out for a little bit. And no, Robert Cornelius, you cannot have Kelly the Killer Calico Cat. So, unfortunately, death is part of life. And it's hard for us people that are still here, that miss those people that we love so much. And I'm sure almost every one of you have had ones that have gone way too soon. I'm glad I let this dry out. I'd like to tell you about a few of those people that I love and miss. This is kind of therapy for me. On the 2nd of May, 2017, it was a Tuesday, I believe, at 10:32 p.m., I received a call from my first wife. She was unconsolable and unintelligible, meaning I couldn't understand what she was trying to say. But I knew. And I simply said to her, which one of my sons have died? And she said, David. She was able to get that out. And my landlord, who we live in a double, was sitting next to me. He's like, hey man, I'm out of here. I was like, no, you ain't out of here. Stay right there. I need you. Okay. So we talked. Well, not for very long. I found out that he'd been going through some depression, some drugs, some hard liquor, and those three don't get along well together. And he hung himself in his garage. That was a gut punch. And then I had to call my mother. And I never want to hear a woman scream in agony like that when I told my mom that her grandson passed away at 31 years old. So time goes on, and all of a sudden my brother passes away, my younger brother. Quite all his fault. He had a heart valve condition and refused to get it fixed, and they could have just simply gone up through his leg, put a couple stitches in his valve, and he would have been fine, but he didn't. And I got that call from my mom. And then my father, he passed away from I don't know, blood cancer or something like that. He was just out. I saw him 3 weeks before he died. And he came out, he performed the wedding for my oldest daughter, Sarah. Performed the ceremony, married them. It seemed like perfect. He went home, and 3 weeks later, 2 weeks later, he was in the hospital, and they said he had lymphoma. And he died. But before he died, I got to talk a lot to him, and we were always very close. My father never knew the way I felt about him, and I never had to guess how he felt about me. And then probably the hardest one was my second son, who passed away after all of this. And it was February 22nd of 2021, and right around 9:30 my phone started blowing up, and it's just like, oh man, come on, I know something bad is happening. And people are telling me my son was found unresponsive, and he died from a heroin fentanyl overdose. They asked me if I wanted to come over while they were trying to revive him. And I said, how long have they been working on them? And my daughter-in-law said, half hour. I said, he's gone. I miss him a lot. I miss him the most. I mean, not that I don't love any of these other people more or less. He was my buddy, and he'd been clean for 5 years. That's all the family deaths that happened real quick. And you'd think, I'd think, oh man, working on this piece of equipment, let me just call my dad up. And then I'd be like, I can't call my dad up. He's not here anymore. Well, let me call my son up. I can't call him up. My one son, the first one to pass, was just a genius at fixing things. I'd be like, he'll know how to fix it. I'd actually pick my phone up and, well, you know what, he's gone. He's not here anymore. So, by only the grace of God did I get through that. There was years, because as soon as I got, in touch with the one boy passing away, the next boy passed away. So there was years of tears. I'd never want anyone to ever have to go through that. My dad was almost 80. So, I know where he is, and I know where my sons are. They're all together in heaven. Some of you may or may not believe that, but I know that. We're going to let this beautiful poker pipe cool down a little bit. Be right back in a nanosecond. I'm just kind of opening my mind here, sharing my thoughts as looking at, some pictures of them. And I miss them a lot. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. We've graduated to a cigarette. So, after these deaths in my family, my children, my 2 adult children, my father and my brother, first of all, I had my faith in the Lord that, I knew where they were. They had made mistakes in their lives. They paid for it with their lives. And then I asked God, I was like, what do you want me to do? And God put it on my heart, hey, look at what you still have that I blessed you with. Take inventory of what you still have. And the key was, love the Lord, trust Him, take inventory of what you still have that I have given you. And that was 8 other, adult children that I love very much. And, sometimes it haunts me. Sometimes, I remember after my first son's death, we had a viewing before he was cremated. And I remember my daughter sitting there, and I remember hearing, them crying, and that was the worst sound I could ever hear. Was my beautiful daughters that I love so much whimpering. I gotta pause this video. Oh yeah, so we're back. All right. So yeah, something deep inside of me said, "Hey man, you got to keep your shit straight. You heard your daughters whimpering, standing around looking at their brother, your son. You got to keep your shit straight. You got to keep healthy. You can't go back into the life of the 1980s where you're going out partying and snorting coke and shit like that. You can't do that, or they're gonna be looking at you whimpering." And I didn't want to hurt my kids like that, so I just grabbed my bootstraps, said, "All right, Lord, let's go. I'm here for the ride, whatever you want." And so slowly, as day by day, there was many days I'd go in, my eyes would be almost swollen shut from crying myself to sleep, and there was many days when I had to use sick days or vacation days because I couldn't even open my eyes. But the big guy upstairs said, "Hey, keep your shit together, keep your stuff straight. You don't want those kids looking over you in a casket, whimpering." And I would never want to hurt my daughters that way. And I never thought about hurting myself or nothing like that, even though I was really hurting. I just thought, no, I love life too much. I do. I really do. So, as time went on, the Lord got me through it. Y'all may say, "Hey, you're sitting there drinking beer, smoking pipes, smoking a cigar, talking about the Lord, this and that." Well, I can do all this stuff, but what I'm saying, what's coming out of my mouth, is the absolute truth. That's what helped me. That's what got me through it. Yeah, do I have days where I still miss them really badly? Yeah. So we got through that, and being a member of I'm a member of a couple military clubs. Became very close with about 3 of them. The actual president of the American Legion that I belong to. I gotta pay my dues. Yeah. All of a sudden, suddenly, I texted him, and we used to have a lot of late night text messaging. I think he liked his Coors Light or whatever. So we would talk about things that was kind of, he would bounce things off of me. "Hey, what do you think about this? Hey, what do you think about that? Blah, 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 blah." Because he knew I had a good mind. I do have a good mind. Okay? I've been blessed with that. And so we'd talk till the wee hours, till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, texting. And he was very, very special to me, both him and his wife. He asked me at one point in time, because I helped him out with a lot of stuff, and he always made me take money. He built this big new house, whatever, that his wife wanted. "I need you and your son Michael to come help move me," whatever. And okay, just give us a few bucks. "No, it's $20 an hour each. Otherwise, I'll hire a moving company." I was like, "All right, okay." So we'd go over and do that. And one day he pulls me aside, and his name was Michael, and he served in Vietnam in the Navy. And he was very wealthy. And he says, "Hey," he says, I had a friend that was like an older brother to me. And he said he was always there for me. And he said, I want to ask you a question. I said, what? He said, will you always be there for me when I need you? And I held up my hand and I said, of course, sir. Yeah, it will be. You know, and he called me on a few occasions. I won't get into what they were. You know, I need help with this or that. And he would want to give me money, and I'd be like, no, we're friends. You asked me to be there for you. I'm here for you. It took us a half hour to work together on this project, get it done. Now, if you're hiring me to move your house again, it's a different story. So I texted him, and it was unusual for him not to get back to me. And of course, hey, that sixth sense, you kind of know something's not right. And I get a text from his wife saying, Mike passed away. My response was, shit. And I didn't ask what happened right away. Found out later on he was on his way with some donuts to the American Legion and had a massive heart attack in his driveway. They found him a few hours later with a vehicle still running and his dead body in it. 72 years old. Then the next thing, boom. The leader of the American Legion, Sons of the American Legion, dies suddenly, 72. Then all of a sudden, one of my real good buddies that served in the Marine Corps there called him up, no answer. And I got a call back from his wife. He died suddenly at 72 years old. 3 of them out of the American Legion that I belong to. Very, very good big brothers of mine. Gone like that. And then, you know, about a year ago, and cheers, I'm going to crack a beer. Hope you're not all getting bummed out by this. I'm trying to share with you what my thought processes were with these deaths, and in trying to rely on the Lord up above and in my own head with these very important people that were suddenly gone. I'm trying to pass that on to you folks because it will happen to you multiple times, just like it did with me. It's just a part of life. We're going to have friends and family that are going to pass away suddenly. That's just the way it is. Cheers. So I had a very good friend of mine. She had a lot of health problems, and actually we dated. I won't get into the whole story, but back in the early 90s we dated, and then I lost track of her, and then found this attractive, beautiful blonde lady on Facebook that lived here in Brockport, and I was like, okay, this is 30-something years later. My friend requests her, blah, blah, blah. So, long story short, she invites me over for a barbecue, and I see a picture hanging on her wall of when she was young. And I looked at it, and I says, all of a sudden I put 2 and 2 together. I says, I think that you and I used to date like right around 1991, 1992. And here's my mom saying, you've been at my parents' house. And so, yeah, whoa, all of a sudden we rediscovered each other. Well, we didn't date after that. We we would go to dinner and stuff like that, but it wasn't a physical thing or anything like that. It was a very beautiful friendship, and she had gone through a lot of really tough medical situations that she didn't have when I was first dating her. And I really didn't date her again, but so we kept in touch, and we'd go to dinner and stuff like that, and we'd have a good time. And I just watched her erode. I won't get into it, but it was bad, really bad, and it made me very sad. But she always had an upbeat, and I'd be like, honey, how many more operations do you have to go through? And she's like, it's okay, honey, I'll be all right. I got this operation and that operation, and they're gonna fix me up, and it'll be okay, honey. It'll be. She always called me honey. In fact, let me move along. So I texted her, and I was like, hey, how's it going, Rhonda Lynn? Didn't hear back. That wasn't highly unusual. Sometimes she would fall asleep early. The next day, hey, Rhonda Lynn, is everything okay? Haven't heard from you. And then I heard back from her son, and he said the other night, Mom passed away in her sleep, and I was devastated. And my mom was too. So I said, well, what happened? And he couldn't tell me at the time, and I've never found out since. I don't know what happened. I know she had a lot of medical problems. She was on fentanyl patches. Who knows? Maybe she decided just to take all of her patches and put them on and just say good night. The show's over. I don't know. She was too good for this earth, and I loved her as a good friend. And I hope someday to find out what happened to her. Yep. So that's how I've dealt with that stuff. So, my doctor after those things was like, well, do you want some medication? I'm like, no, I'm all good. I got God. And she's like, well, there's only one God. I says, I know. And he's on my side. Anyways, we've rambled on way long enough. So hopefully some of the things that I've shared that I've been through can help you. Paul the Pipe Guy. Happy Friday, over and out.